Welcome to Thriving Entrepreneur with your host, Steve Kidd, third-generation minister and 30-year business coach. Listen in as amazing, world-changing authors, speakers, and coaches share their struggles and victories. And hear from best-selling authors' insight into how you too can live your life as a thriving entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome to Thriving Entrepreneur. Thanks for being with me here today. I'm so grateful for you. I so appreciate getting to be able to come into your life here on the radio and share the amazing, exciting journey that is you being a thriving entrepreneur. There's nothing more exciting. I've said often, I'll say it again, this radio show is really kind of like my guilty pleasure. A great way to bring you amazing people, but also to get to be able to share with you in the journey that you are currently on. Today, we want to talk about a big concept, and that's feeling better. Now, I know that a lot of you are saying, well, wow, that's huge. How are you going to cover that in just an hour? And we are just going to begin to scratch the surface, but I do have some amazing guests today that are going to focus on a couple of different areas. Things that you can do to really reset your emotions, almost instantly. Within 5 minutes or less, things that you can do to change your emotional state so that you can show up more powerfully in the world. And then we're going to look at, different types of ways of finding healing that, again, don't have to necessarily take forever, but have the potential to clear out many of the things that you're struggling with nearly instantly. None of these kind of things are magical. They just simply are, out there and possibilities and potentials in the world. And then, of course, lastly, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about your business and how can you feel better in your business. We've been through so much. If you're listening live, depending on where you live, we're either at the tail end of COVID or maybe not, depending on the day, right? But we've been through a lot the last couple of years, dealing with literally the whole world shut down for a while and the impacts that had on our lives and our business. And for many of us, it just felt constantly. And we don't know now how to feel better from that. And in our business, sometimes what we need to do is find a way to readjust, to reset, to find the business that serves us, who we are, where we are now, so that we can make the difference that you were always meant to make. You see, you do have a powerful, important, necessary role in this world. But unfortunately, and I'm using the word feelings very generically, but it does kind of boil down to how do you feel? How do you feel physically? How do you feel emotionally, especially? In fact, I would be the first one to say that your physical body in many cases follows your emotional well-being. And if you don't get the emotions especially and also the physical in line, it's hard to do anything on the business end of things. So you need to be able to feel better in those two areas so that you can then look at what is working and what isn't working in your business and be able to reset, to reclaim, and to feel better and know that you're doing better in your business. There is absolutely, positively a powerful, necessary need for you in this world to be exactly who you are, to make the difference that only you can make, and to live every day as a thriving entrepreneur. You need that. The world needs you to do that. Imagine how amazing the world would be if every single one of the billions of people that live on the planet woke up in the morning and just simply asked themselves, how can I be the best me that I can possibly be today. We could get rid of almost all the issues that we deal with in life and society if people just simply took that up. And that starts by learning within ourselves how to feel better. So let's jump into this conversation about feeling better as we talk with our first guest and we learn how to feel better as a thriving entrepreneur. Join me in welcoming Amanda Hainline. Hey Amanda, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Steve?
I am good, thank you. So tell us a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
Well, I am the author of the new book, Feel Better in 5 Minutes, an empowering guide to gain control over your emotions. But before I wrote the book, 15, 16 years ago, I was a young mom of 2 small children, and I was going through a lot of depression and I couldn't shake it. And I was in a tough relationship. And I decided to go to an energy healer for help. And at the second session, I had this kind of awakening, as they call it. Unbeknownst to me, I just went there to work on my depression issues, but it led me into this world of really being able to intuit and tap into all kinds of different things. I became clairvoyant, clairaudient, medium, a channel. So just, lots of psychic abilities, as well as being taught by angels to do hands-on healing. So that's kind of in a nutshell what happened back then. And then for the past, 15, 16 years, I've been doing this healing work with clients all over the globe and seen some really profound transformations in people. So that is part of what led me to write the book.
I love that. So 5 minutes, that seems like a really big promise. So show us, how do we get better? How do we feel better in 5 minutes?
Well, feeling better in 5 minutes, the premise is that with some kind of slight adjustments to mindset and a little bit of kind of intention setting and a little bit of energy work, mixing those together, you can actually clear emotional states that are trapped in your body and in your energy system. And when you do that, you can actually alleviate some of the anxiety and depression, anger that we tend to carry around, and just tends to be our go-to emotion on a regular basis. A lot of us, entrepreneurial people, we're kind of all over the place because we've got a million ideas and we're ungrounded and we're trying to get a lot done. And we may get frantic during the day or really aggravated. And so for people that have that, just taking a moment to check in with yourself, seeing what emotions are kind of running the show, and choosing to release those and let those go. And there's techniques in the book to help you do that. And one of the ways is just simply saying, I choose to release this anxiety that I'm feeling and anything that it's attached to, and just envisioning that coming up and out of your energy system and out of your body, and taking a couple of deep breaths. And by setting that intention, you can start to have a greater awareness for where your emotional states are residing at the moment. And then kind of taking control of that and saying, well, I choose not to feel that, I choose to release that and let that go. And then that helps us to come back to a place of center and calm.
So do you typically, when you're working with clients, do you typically do tapping along with that, or just, more the visualizations?
Depending on what the client needs, there are times that I will employ tapping because I do think tapping is a very powerful modality. I've used it myself on many occasions. And if I'm guided to teach a client the tapping techniques, I actually did this past week, I taught a client how to do that. She was naturally, intuitively doing some tapping, and she goes, I don't know why I'm always tapping on my forehead. And I said, well, that's, there's part of you innately that knows that tapping is helpful. And so I taught her the tapping techniques and kind of how to work through the dialogue of tapping and all of that. So you can definitely use those in conjunction with each other. And it's something that I do use on a regular basis myself and with clients, and using those together is really powerful.
Love that. So let's talk a little bit about the resistances. I mean, usually when you tell somebody they can feel better, the first thing you get is a whole string of reasons why a person can't feel better, right?
Of course. Yes, that's very common. Well, I've got too much going on, and yeah, I've got the kids, and I've got my job, and in all of that. And we really get stuck in the story of the fact that we have this belief that our life has to be a struggle, and that things have to be difficult, and nothing ever works out for me unless I work 80 hours a week, and that kind of thing, which is, it's a mindset. And we tend to create these situations that require us to be in these states. So that's a very common thing. I think, especially in the US, where people tend to, we just overwork. But yeah, I have had people say, there's no way I could feel better that fast. I'm like, okay, I'm not saying every single problem that you've ever had in your life is going to go away in 5 minutes. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you can actually be able to start telling a difference if you just employ a little bit of these techniques over time. But one of the things that people get caught up in as well, we get caught up in our story, but we also start to take on these emotions as our identity. And when we do that, what happens is our subconscious and our energy system and our just mind and body in general says, well, I can't release my anxiety because it's who I am, because we say, I am depressed, I am anxious, I am angry, I am sick, we just say I am. And when we say I am something, then, our mind takes it very literally and says, well, if I am that, then I can't be separate from that. So I can't release those emotions. I can't be changing anything, because that's just my identity. When simply not true. Your emotions are separate from you. So one of the things I encourage people to do when they start making that shift, the small little change, is to say, I am experiencing anxiety, I am experiencing depression, I am experiencing anger. Because when you say I am experiencing, then it's just something that's happening. It's not good or bad. It's just an experience you're having, and you're moving through that experience, and you're not holding on to that as a state of being for yourself. So that's one of the things I encourage people to do when they say, well, I can't change, it's just who I am. It's like, well, let's look at it a little bit differently and see if maybe we can make some shifts for you. So it's definitely a powerful exercise, but a very simple one to start with.
Yeah, for sure. That I am statement thing, I've gotten to the place where I was actually not sure whether I should stop you or encourage you for how bold you were to say something at the end of the I am. I'm like, I'm not even going to say that, because I don't want my brain to hear me having said that,
Yeah, exactly. It's the I am statement. When we think of I am, a lot of times, the I am that I am, if you want to think about like religion or the Bible or something, and it seems like a very heady thing to say, or like, what does that even mean? Or, but I am is basically saying my identity is this. And, part of me at least is made up of X, Y, Z. And so, it's not, you don't want to separate yourself from your arm or your leg or your, that kind of thing. And that's kind of where our brain goes whenever we're saying I am. And then we try to release that. And you see that a lot with people that are physically ill for a really long time, and they start to heal, they struggle with it because it has become so much a part of their life and so ingrained in them, as far as when they take action and make decisions, it's all based around this illness. And so it's difficult when that has become your identity, and that goes with emotions as well. So the I am statement it's an interesting concept to really sit down and think about. We really don't think about it on a regular basis, but when we start to have that conscious decision to state that differently, it can be the first step in really taking our life back.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So do you typically work with people in person, or is most of your work done online, or how do you typically like to work with a person?
At this point, work is typically done online. I did have someone fly in last week that wanted to work with me in person. And it was actually, for her particular case, it was actually a really good idea for her to fly in. She was dealing with some really unique issues. But for the most part, I do work over the phone. I work with people all over the place. And so it's just easier to do it by phone or by Zoom. And that way, energy is boundless. So really, it doesn't matter where the person is. I can still tap in and help them and give them perspective and do that energy work long distance and teach them the techniques long distance as well.
Love that. What is your favorite kind of person to get to work with?
Oh, that's a really good question. I love people that are willing to make change. They're ready to step up and really take control of their life and say, I'm responsible and I'm owning who I am. I'm owning where I'm at in my life and I'm not happy with it. And I want to change. And people that really, it doesn't matter where you're at. I mean, I've worked with people that are, have been drug addicts and have a lot of shame. And they're like, well, I really, I can't believe I did all these things. So I'm like, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're moving forward. And then I have people that are CEOs of companies that are like, my life just isn't working for me. And outwardly, it looks like it's working for them, but inside they just don't feel like they're being fulfilled. And so people that are just even starting to have the awareness that they want to make change, and then helping them bring that into a space of clarity so that they can really start to have an awareness and then start taking actionable steps towards the life that they deserve.
So if a person wants to go deeper with you, how would they get in contact with you?
My website is amandahainline.com. And if you're interested in the book, you can get it through a link on my website through Amazon and Barnes & Noble, or you can go directly to those sites as well. And then I'm on Instagram at akhainline, and I have a Facebook group that is online. And the name of that Facebook group is Daily Energy with Amanda Hainline.
Love that. And the book is called Feel Better in 5 Minutes, an empowering guide to gain control over your emotions by Amanda Hainline. Amanda, give us some words of encouragement or, something along those lines before we go today.
Anyone can change their life. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, what phase of life you are in. It is never too late at any point to really come to a point of awareness and start to really make those shifts and take control of your life. It just, wherever you are, it's doable. It is possible to take those steps towards the true you and the life that you deserve.
Well, Amanda, thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
So how are you feeling emotionally? How do you feel within you about yourself? What are the things you're saying to yourself? And how can we be able to reset that? I hope you learned some really powerfully impactful things that'll help you reset yourself emotionally and be able to really powerfully show up in the world, because you are so necessary in this world, and you absolutely do need to feel better in order to be able to be your best and to live as a thriving entrepreneur. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back here on Thriving Entrepreneur.
If you're an author who's on a mission, stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity, and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com, schedule a talk with Steve, Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call. Yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today. We're talking about your feelings. In the first segment, we were talking about the emotional aspect of your feelings. Now we want to talk about, how do you feel? Like, are you sick? Does your body have feelings that aren't serving you? And what are maybe some ways that you can do that maybe you haven't heard of that can help you get beyond those feelings to a way of living healthy, powerful, and really showing up in this world? I really look forward to presenting this next guest to you. Join me in welcoming Tom Palladino. Hey, Tom, how you doing today?
I am well. Thank you for the invitation, Steve.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
How do I show up in the world? I am a researcher. I'm working with what is known as scalar energy. Some people call that 0-point energy. I've devoted a career to this unique energy spectrum. That really keeps me busy 9 to 5, so to speak.
So the question you present is, can people be rid of their viruses, bacteria, fungi, and protozoans via a remote process?
Yes.
So I want to know, can people be rid of those things via a remote process?
Yeah, very good. Well, I work with people around the world exclusively by way of their photograph. Now, I can prove in my laboratory that I'm having a success in what I call the quantum field or the photographic field. But only people can vouch for the results in person. Now, keep in mind, I'm working with unique instruments, scalar energy instruments that work only by way of photographs. I can prove it in my laboratory, but people have to prove it to themselves that there is some merit to this.
So maybe let's start from the very beginning. What is scalar energy healing?
Sure. I work with unique instruments. They're custom-built scalar energy instruments. This is not electricity. And I'm working with a quantum realm, or what we consider the non-physical dimension. And in so doing, I can access a person's, if you will, their energy signature. Their energy signature is found on a photograph. So all of my work is done in the quantum field, the non-physical realm, and everything is, if you will, sent into or administered upon a photograph of a person. This is the new science of quantum physics.
Okay. All right. So quantum physics in real basic is basically the concept of the fact that everything exists until it doesn't, basically. In other words, the future is multiple outcomes, and it's the decisions we make now that lead us to that. Like I said, that's a very, very simplified version of it.
Yeah.
But I know you say you're building on Nikola Tesla and a couple other people. How does it work? I mean, tell us a little bit about how it works.
Sure. I have to make this very clear. I'm working in a different energy spectrum. This is not magnetism. This is not electricity. So when I'm working in a scalar energy spectrum, it's outside of that dimension. I'm working in a different dimension, Steve. It's a different reality. And when I'm working in a different dimension, I can do so many things that I cannot do with electricity and magnetism. So this is the other world. This is the other dimension. It is indeed a quantum dimension, and it offers such great promise to mankind.
So in the quantum dimension, what kind of things exist and or don't exist? I guess, I mean, maybe help me understand it a little bit.
Sure. Let's say it's a perfect information system. So anytime you access a quantum dimension, you're working with perfect information in which you can impart information instantaneously. And the result is instantaneous. So within this perfect dimension, you don't have to rely upon cause and effect, because the cause is the cause is the effect. What am I getting at? There is no time lag. Everything is assured. It is instantaneous. So all action is instantaneous. Hence, all action is guaranteed. You might be looking at the biochemical world, but you have to rely upon a chemical reaction. Well, there is no reaction here. It's instantaneous action. So with that in mind, it's the perfect information system. The outcome is always guaranteed. There really isn't a cause and effect relationship, because there is only a cause, which is the first cause. And everything is a perfect information system. It's a perfect outcome all the time.
Okay. So you say you do this process based off of a photograph. Talk me through how the process works.
When I place a photograph inside these scalar energy instruments, it is immersed in that energy spectrum. It's no longer in a Newtonian scientific paradigm, so to speak. It's no longer electromagnetic energy. It's the perfect information system of scalar energy, in which all action is instantaneous. And then when I act upon a photograph with my instrument, I can assure the outcome. The outcome is instantaneous. So if you will, I'm transcending time and space. And with that in mind, it's perfect control over nature, Steve. A scalar energy instrument allows me to have perfect control over the universal forces.
Okay. So, I mean, there's quite a long list here, but what kind of things and how does it help in those kind of things? Or can you even tell me how it helps?
Sure. I can, for instance, identify on a person's photograph the presence of the herpes virus, because a scalar energy instrument is always in the present moment. It always shows energy or information in the present moment. So I can ascertain the presence of the herpes virus. And with this instrument, I can break down the molecular bonds of the herpes virus. So consider what I'm saying. The scalar energy instrument can guarantee the outcome, which is the destruction or the transmutation of the herpes virus.
What about, yeah, that is really interesting. What about, I mean, so any kind of diseases, whether it be Lyme disease to cancer, can you just immediately tell them from any old photograph, or is it a special kind of photograph? Or
people email me a photograph, and again, the instrument, by way of this intelligence, this all-knowing scalar energy intelligence, the instrument can ascertain whether somebody has a Lyme spirochete or not. It's not me. I am not the prime mover here. I believe this is a divine energy, and a photograph will show itself as either having a microbe or not.
Okay. So it's the device that is detecting whether it be herpes or Lyme disease or cancer or whatever.
Correct. That's
similarly
exactly
to how like some dogs just kind of know in people that have cancer. Okay. All right. All right. So what, I mean, basic, real old school Polaroid, or do you need a high def, or what kind of picture do you need?
Any emailed photograph. Years ago, I was using Polaroids in the 90s, but now that we're in the modern day age, any emailed photograph will do. I receive email photographs from people around the world, and that email photograph carries your present physical, emotional, cognitive constitution. So a photograph of a person can tell the instrument whether you have the herpes virus or not. It's fascinating. It's an information system like none other.
So conceivably, and I don't know that you do this, but conceivably, could a person be on video on Zoom with you and you could run the scanner over their video, or is there something to the movement of video that makes it not work?
The video would work, but I would have to place actually the video inside the instrument. So the best way for me to do this is simply to take photographs of people and place the photographs inside an instrument. So I could, if you will, take a still shot of a video, and I've done that before, and place that photograph inside the instrument.
Wow, that's really interesting. So, do you normally work with people who already know they have something going on, or do you typically work more with people who they just kind of feel icky, but they have no idea what it is?
Yes, that's a good point. So there's so many germs, microbes. So what I've developed are instruments that are designed to seek out, identify over 400,000 species of germs, pathogens. And people will simply send me the photograph. I don't diagnose. I let the instrument diagnose. I let the energy diagnose. So potentially my ability with these instruments is to break down to eradicate over 400,000 species of germs.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, I guess obviously all of us are wondering, what does something like that cost? I mean, is it millions of dollars, or how does that work?
I have a website at which anybody in the world can sign up for free for 15 days. I have to introduce this technology, and I have to get it out there to mankind. So I'm starting off with free sessions for everybody in the world. So visit the website. You can sign up for 15 days of free sessions.
Okay, so the concept is going to end up being then that they're going to need more than one session so that we get really clear imaging, quote unquote imaging.
Sure. Not necessarily. Some people just sign up for the 15 days of free sessions, and they say they feel better, and they won't come back and work with us again. If they want to continue on, we have an inexpensive program of $89 a month. But we leave it up to people. I really want to make that very clear. People make the final outcome here. Anybody in the world can sign up for the 15-day free session. If that's all you want, that's fine. If you want to go on and become a paying subscriber, it's $89 a month.
Okay. All right. So, and you said the first 3 sessions are free. I mean, who can beat the price of free? So, what does it take to get started?
Just visit the website, scalarlight.com. You're going to email us your photograph. You can send photographs in of your entire family. You can send us 4, 5, 6 photographs. Include your pets. For 15 days, we will perform what we call the pathogen cleanse. We will balance your chakras, and we'll also provide you nutrients. All of that information is found on the website, so you can peruse that before you upload your photograph.
And are you asking for a person to put a credit card on file so that you're going to then automatically, all right. So when you say free, it's really just free. They just go in, give you their info, and then they're going to have to mail you. Well, you said you can take it via email. So it's just a matter of emailing pictures.
Yes, it could not be easier. Email us a photograph. We do not want your credit card. We do not want a debit card. There's no obligation whatsoever. This is my promise to mankind, to introduce this new technology and to do it without any coercion.
And so the concept is you're going to send them in this array of photos, and you're going to do and excuse me if I'm not using the right word here, but the quote unquote healing on the person. And conceivably, at least those 3 sessions could take care of all that.
You're right. 3 sessions a day for the span of 15 days. Correct. And it's all done through the, if you will, the medium of a photograph. The photograph is the representation of a person or an animal.
And bear with me if I'm asking you too many questions. I apologize. It's just so interesting. What about, because a lot of us, both ourselves as well as have people in our lives that are kind of camera shy, they're
Yes.
photo resistant.
Right.
Does the photo need to be brand new, or can it be something from a couple of years ago or whatever?
That's a good point. The age of the photo does not matter. Why? Because your quantum field or your scalar energy force field stays with you for life. So many times people will send in a photograph that's 20 or 30 years of age. It doesn't matter. That photograph is always in the present moment. What am I saying? Scalar energy is the first cause. It's always in the present moment. There is no past, there is no future. So regardless of the age of the photograph always reports your present constitution.
Okay. And so for family members, then, can I send, like, say, for example, a grandparent that isn't even still alive anymore?
Well, you could do that. If they're alive, I'd like people to get their permission. If you're of the age of reason, you should get somebody's permission. If you're a parent, you obviously can work on behalf of your children.
What if my children are grown? Because
I would
my children
ask,
are grown.
okay, if they're of the age of reason, they should say yes to this. They should at least be informed. Inform them what you're doing.
Okay. So, because the people, at least the people I know in my life are going to ask this, what's it going to do to the other people? So I sent you a picture of me and my daughter.
Yes.
And maybe it's a picture from back when, 30 years ago when I was 20, 25, whatever. Since both of us are in the photo, and since it's working off of the photograph, is it gonna quote unquote heal her too, or what do they expect? What should they expect? What should they be weary of? Whatever.
The energy is delivered to whatever is photographed. So if a person is photographed, the energy will be delivered to that person, but it's delivered in the quantum field. And I have to underscore that this is non-physical intelligence or instructions. So any photograph that's submitted to us, whether it's a person, an animal, or an object, will receive the energy. And so please, again, educate people, let people know as to what we're doing. If you're of the age of reason, they should say yes to this. We don't want anybody to be treated without their permission.
So interesting. All right. So tell us again, because I want people to be able to take advantage of this. Tell us again your website and the offer that you're making to the people so they really understand clearly.
Sure. My unique offering is made by way of these unique custom-built scalar energy instruments. The website is scalarlight.com, SCALAR, scalarlight.com. Anybody in the world can visit the website and email us, upload your photographs. We work with you by way of your photograph. Your photograph carries your energy field. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to change your diet or exercise routine. Simply email us your photograph. We will work with you for free, no obligation, for 15 days. During those 15 days, we will perform a microbe cleanse, a chakra balance, and we will provide nutrients. We do all of that by way of quantum energy with your photograph.
I love that. All right. Well, Tom, before we go, give people some words of encouragement, about what bringing this into their life could do for them.
Okay. Scalar energy, as far as I'm concerned, Steve, is the next great technology to take the world. It really is essentially free energy. It's from the sun and the stars. So once we tap into this energy, we'll realize we have the energy of the cosmos, or the life force energy. So we will change the course of history with this technology. Scalar energy is the next great technology to change the course of history.
That is so awesome. I almost find myself at a loss for words because it's just so cool. It's such great information. Tom, thanks so much for sharing this with us, for your free gift for everybody, and for what you do in the world. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for your time, Steve.
I know when I first heard this, when we started into this conversation, I was like, I don't know. I've never heard of that. Does it really work? But also, I kept an open mind. I kept an open ear. And I began to, and you may even have heard this in the conversation in the interview, begin to ask myself the question, yes, but what if it does work? What could you have locked inside of you on a quantum level that you need to just simply release from yourself? And you may need somebody who knows how to be able to go into that and really let it go so that you can physically be at the peak possible health so that you can show up and do the absolute best in this world that you can do to be a thriving entrepreneur.
If you're an author who's on a mission, stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity, and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Schedule a talk with Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call. Yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today as we talk about feeling better. We've talked about your emotions. We talked a little bit about some ways that you can feel better in your physical body. Now let's talk about how you can feel better with your business, whether there's transitions needed or you just need a strategy to really be able to help you show up powerfully in the world. Let's jump into our next interview. Join me in welcoming Robbie Samuels. Hey, Robbie, how you doing today?
Doing wonderful, Steve. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you show up in the world.
Well, prior to the pandemic, I was best known as a networking expert and spent about a decade to do that, including writing a book and doing a TEDx and hosting a podcast for a long time. But none of the things I was known for was needed starting in March 2020. Short story, reinvented myself and became a virtual event design consultant and an executive Zoom producer, built a thriving new business in just 8 months. And then this year wrote a new book, a second book, talking about how I did that and specifically how the reader can build an audience before they create their offer.
So first of all, what is your new business about?
Well, it's actually not new. I just was a business growth strategist, but sort of on the quiet. I had a handful of clients and I was working for another company, but I wasn't making an effort to let my network know. And it was because I am a business growth strategist working with entrepreneurs around that initial product market lead generation piece that I actually thought to put myself through those same questions and was able to shift so quickly in 2020 when I needed to. So I am a networking expert. I speak about how to network in person and I consult on that. I am a virtual events producer and I help with business growth strategies. I am a multifaceted, multi-passionate entrepreneur.
Awesome. And what is the title of your book?
Small list, big results, launch a successful offer, no matter the size of your email list.
That's powerful because most people have bought into that belief that, if you don't have a big list, you're never going to really build anything. So how do you do it from a small list?
Well, the title attracts the people who think they have that problem. Usually what's happened is that they're having trouble selling and they've diagnosed that the problem is the size of their email list. The book is not actually about how to grow your list. It's not about lead magnets or funnels or email sequences or anything about that. It's about the fact that our network is actually much bigger than the people who signed up for our subscription email list, and that we should be leaning into our network and discovering likely prospects and likely referral partners from within our existing network who already know, like, and trust us. The book really details how to go about that.
So what's one, I mean, obviously they need to get the book to learn all of that, but what's one tip that you teach in that you can share with us?
Well, I think the main thing is about a mindset shift on your part to sort of accept the idea that you can reach out to people you haven't talked to in a while. And, the book really details out, and there's also an accompanying guide, a workbook about how to wake up your network and how to identify 25, 30 people that you're going to reach out to in the next, 12 weeks, maybe 6 months, that you're going to do a little bit of a listening tour to better understand what people need. Because while a lot of people think the issue is the size of your email list, I think the actual problem that they're facing is that whatever they're trying to sell, they created without any input from likely prospects. So let's figure out how to, find the people within our network and then work with them to figure out what do they need, how can we best serve them, and then that's what you create.
How do we find them and how do we ask them?
Well, that is the details in the book, right? And I'm happy to go through it. But the idea is that you could download a list of people. It could be from your LinkedIn. It could be third parties allow you to download from Facebook and Instagram. It could be your phone contacts. You probably have tons of people in your phone contacts that you're not realizing are still there. So going through a list like that, and then identifying people who would recognize your name, remember your name, and that you'd be happy to hear from out of the blue, and then prioritizing them based on their connection to you, their influence in the world, and their interest in whatever it is you want to talk about. And from there, categorizing people as likely prospects, likely referral partners, or coffee chats. And there's some people, no matter, even though they're on that list, you're going to kind of snooze them for now. And maybe there'll be someone you should reach out to 18 months from now or a year from now when you're doing something a little different. But for now, you want to focus in on just a handful of people. And the real key here, Steve, is to not pitch them your big idea. Don't say, hey, what do you think about this? Because then you're narrowing the conversation. You're missing possible great points that they're going to share. If you just get them to, share with you, have them come with questions, and try to dig in and understand more about why those are the questions they brought and how urgent is it. I think too often we hear a problem that people need a solution for, but people themselves aren't trying to fix it. So we build things that no one wants.
Oh, that's powerful. We hear a problem and so we just fix a solution before we ever even decide whether the person really wants it or not.
Well, let's think about this example of someone says to you, I have trouble sleeping, and you immediately pull together a program to help people sleep better. Well, that one statement, I have trouble sleeping, doesn't say anything about urgency. You don't know how it's impacting them. You don't know what's causing the problem. You know what problems it's causing. You don't know if they've tried anything to fix it. You don't even know if they're trying. I mean, like, literally that one sentence doesn't give you enough information to go build a program. And too often we react, we hear something and we immediately go, oh, I can do that. And then when you go to sell it to them, they're like, who are you? What is this? I don't need this. And if we could just spend a little more time asking those questions, well, tell me how this impacts you. Tell me, how is it affecting your life? Is it changing, how you do your work or your family or relationship? Like, just anything to try to get a little bit. But if someone tells you they haven't Googled an answer yet, they haven't looked in the app store for an app for that, then why are they going to look for your thing? Like, they're not looking. And I think too often we misread because we really want our thing to work, and it's not a match.
So with having to have to totally regroup-ish, from the pandemic, what is the biggest thing that you knew starting that out that you didn't know, with the other things you've done?
Well, I knew that it would work. I've done all the other things. All the mistakes that I have in the book are, a lot of them are my own examples. And because of what happened last year and how I've been coaching about this, but then putting myself through it, I knew I could reinvent myself again. And so last year, I spent a lot of time making sure my network knew that I could do work in the virtual event space, and that's working. And I'm built a business around that, 6 figures in 8 months and growing. And then this year, I've spent, again, 3 months letting my network know that I can do business growth strategy. And I was able to sell people into a program for a year for that. So it's possible to bring your network along with you. It does take some concerted effort and focused effort and a strategy more than anything. And too often we are just getting like either a bunch of free advice, or we're defining the problem wrong. So we might be looking for people to help us build our email list with, Facebook ads or SEO when we haven't sold anything yet. So better to go and sell something, which, by the way, is the one thing you need if you're going to have a business, is someone who pays you.
You said something in there that I want to jump back to a little bit, and that's that all you're doing is giving free advice. How do you distinguish between that thing that everybody comes to you for free, but when it comes to putting a dollar value on that, they're not going to pay you for it?
Then you have a hobby. And hobbies are not a bad thing. In the book, I have this piece around discover your ideal client. And I want to say the word ideal client is used in a kind of misnomer way in a lot of places. And if people haven't paid you yet, then you don't have an ideal client. You may have some idea of who your likely prospects are, but if people are coming to you for advice, support, services, the real ideal client would be someone who wants information around a topic that you have expertise in, that you have passion about, like it's something you would love to talk about for free, and they can see the value, the impact of what you can help them with, so much so that they want to pay you. So that's the Venn, right? And if they only want your expertise around a passion project, but they're not thinking to pay you because you've never asked, that's a hobby. And then there's some other pitfalls to avoid around burnout and just sort of trapping yourself doing work. So I just think that a lot of times the people we could best serve are close to us and already interacting with us. The free advice comment, though, Steve, was actually a lot of us have made the mistake over and over again of getting on a call with someone and just talking to them for an hour. And at the end, we feel good, they feel good. But truthfully, they're not going to take action on that free advice. It's not a strategy. It's a list of tactics. They took cryptic notes. They can't read their notes. 2-3 weeks later, they feel bad they haven't taken action. They don't come back to you because they don't want to bother you again because you've been so generous. And they end up hiring somebody else to help them figure out how to move forward. So if that keeps happening, then we're doing something wrong. It's better to actually use the time we have with people, whether it's in person or face to face, or whether it's through our emails or our copy or whatever, to help them understand the difference between the problem they think they have and the problem we think they have. And if we can help them have that awareness, now they'll become open to other solutions. But if they think they need a Band-Aid and we hand them, an operation, it's a total mismatch. And that is often the case.
So speaking of ideal clients, who is your ideal client? Who would be the perfect person that you'd like to work with?
Well, for this side of my business, I have learned that entrepreneurial women in their 50s and beyond are most frequently drawn to the work that I'm doing, specifically the ones that are looking to have greater impact and greater income through some kind of one-to-many program. And they feel like they're starting from scratch. They don't know how to do that. They've been a coach or a speaker, but they don't know how to do that part. In the process of launching this book, I've come to realize that it's actually a psychographic as well. So that is still a demographic that makes sense, but psychographically, it's people of any gender, probably still in their 50s, who again are ready to take action. They want that more impact, more income. They're looking for revenue, and the idea of cold calls and Facebook ads doesn't feel right to them. And they do believe they have some prospects within their existing network, and they just need to figure out how to wake up those relationships. So my clients I have more men in my sort of cohorts now than I had before, which is showing me that my message is starting to really resonate with a wider swath of people.
That's awesome. So if somebody does want to go further with you, how can they get in contact with you?
Well, I would recommend getting the book, and particularly I would suggest getting the Big Results Toolkit, because the book does spell a lot of the steps out, and the toolkit includes several workbooks and worksheets to help you implement the strategies so that you can actually implement this in your business and start taking action, including the Wake Up Your Network workbook, for instance, and the Analyze Problem Language workbook. You'll find all of that at robbiesamuels.com/Steve. And if you just want to know about me in general, you can go to robbiesamuels.com, and I'm at Robbie Samuels on all the social channels. I love when people can connect with me on LinkedIn and leave me a note saying you heard me on a show. I'd love to hear what your takeaways were and how this is getting you to think differently and what you create because of it.
That's awesome. The book is called Small List, Big Results. Launch a successful offer no matter the size of your email list, by Robbie Samuels. Robbie, thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the show today.
My pleasure.
How do you feel about your business? Because really, you need to feel powerful, empowered. You need to feel like your business is serving you and that you are doing the incredibly wonderful service for the world that is what you do. You are important. You are powerful. You're uniquely brilliant. You were created for a purpose, and the world needs you. But you have to feel better, good, great, awesome, amazing about your business. You need to know that the strategies that you're employing are working, and you need to then show up and really truly be the thriving entrepreneur that you were born to be. Now, we can't fix what happened yesterday. We can't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, another pandemic could come along, another war. All of those kind of things are looming out there as possibilities. But we also can't spend today worrying about what did happen or what might happen. We have to live in a powerful place while it's called today, to show up, to show out, to be the best you that you can be today, whatever that might mean. I mean, I've said many times before, sometimes the best way to be the best version of yourself today is to, lay down and take a nap. You need some rest so that you can really show up and be all that you can be, and that's okay too. Whatever your best is today, all I'm saying is just be the best you can be while it's called today. Like my old friend Ernie Villanueva always said, yesterday is a canceled check, tomorrow is a promissory note, today is the only legal tender you can spend. What are you going to do with today? How can you put your head on the pillow at the end of the day and be able to say to yourself, I showed up today. I was the best me for today during all of today. And if you blow it, if you miss it, that's okay. Forgive and release yourself. Ask forgiveness if it was to somebody else, and then move on and really thrive in all you do, because the world needs you. It needs you to be all that you can be and to simply maximize the you that is you today. I hope you'll do that. I hope that until we're together again, you're happy, safe, warm, and loved. And that until next time we talk, you have an amazingly great week.
Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today. If you want to get your question answered, send an email to questions@wehelpyouthrive.com. We look forward to you joining us again next time.
If you're an author who's on a mission, stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Schedule a talk with Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call. Yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.